great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Wednesday, December 17, year of our Lord 2025. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it is 9:15 a.m. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our friend John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. Veterans we've lost this year, but salute today, thanks to John. Anthony Petrucci, Exeter. Anthony Salerno, Exeter. Stephen Simonich, Oliphant. Norman Williams, Mahanoy City, Hazleton. Anthony Boccalini, Frederick, Maryland, but he was from Taylor. Ralph Evans, Mifflinville. And Charles Shea, a Native American who settled in France after his amazing feats of World War II. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time, the founding fathers understood that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and yes, freedom of the press, no matter how they use it, because we're free to ignore them. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, with that essential preamble dispensed with, we can gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will indeed provide a sanctuary of sanity for all who listen for the balance of this morning. And we need it. We need it more than ever. So, I've got a bunch of things to go through today, really almost a 5 to follow. So much going on, and this is not the norm. This is not the norm in the news cycle that things keep happening and happening and happening. We're in extraordinary times. We truly are. Rob Reiner's son appears to be the murderer in that horrific killing in Los Angeles. The murders of Jews in Australia, celebrating Hanukkah, the first day of Hanukkah. What's the reaction? Gun control. The country that has the most gun control maybe on the planet. Certainly the only democracy that has that level of gun control. So the lie continues with the left that happens to control Australia right now. A terror plot. Left-wing Palestinian-leaning fools planning to hit a number of spots in Los Angeles New Year's Eve. Paris, because of Islamist migrants who are savagely running that country, and many other in Europe. They've canceled New Year's Eve celebrations. Christmas market and Christmas celebration, one after another in Europe, being disrupted by Islamists. And then there is no aftermath. Trump's disgraceful post regarding the Reiner killings doesn't change my mind. The policies are what matter. We know what we know. We get some of this aggravation. And now this is day 3 of the Biden hometown hero sign fiasco. Now, this is the guy, the most popular presidential campaign candidate ever. That's that they tell us. He can't even raise money for his library. A sickening, corrupt disgrace who did more damage to our country than anyone after the Civil War. That awful. And the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association hung a sign for him, which is designed and meant and intended for veterans. He is not a veteran. This Brown case, you watch these press conferences, you watch the mayor, you watch the president of the university, and you say, this is DEI and left-wing incompetence, lack of security. And are they covering up for someone of their ilk? An Islamist, a trans person? What are they doing? Was it a targeted killing? Why have we not heard from people who were in the classroom? Because we keep hearing, and I'm not saying it happened, the call of Allahu Akbar. The Islamists cry before they do something extraordinarily damaging. And a young, beautiful girl's dead, and another, and others injured. And all of the DEI, all the wokeness is catching up to Brown University, and I hope they get hammered for it. They're a disgrace. Same thing with Providence. This mayor, holy cripes. The police chief, whew, absolute joke. And then finally, Donald Trump's going to do a primetime speech tonight. And again, always stepping on it. Well, he hasn't under Susan Wiles. Although the funny part is, the same week, and maybe it's not a coincidence, the same week that Donald Trump steps on his the rake, so does Susan Wiles, giving just why? Why would you give an interview to Vanity Fair? You know what they want to do. I guess you get caught up and think, I don't know. You get caught up in, hey, I want to be popular. I don't know what happens. So Susie Wiles was the one who was keeping Trump under control. And she's talking to Vanity Fair, so she's not under control. And Donald Trump drops a big turd regarding the and a lot of people saying, hey, they deserve it. And I know all the things Rob Reiner said. He was an ass. He was a fool. He was a liar. He had Trump derangement syndrome as bad as anybody. All of that. But my response to people saying, well, they did this, they just said this. That. Yeah, they did. But we're better than them. We're way better than them. And we're supposed to prove it. It's our duty to prove it. Because remember, the people who have TDS, the people who are devoted to destroying the country as it was founded, the people who just hate Trump and will vote for anybody but Trump. They don't care if they're destroying the country. We do. We're better than them. So be better. So what? I mean, so they said that about me, so I got to say this about them. Stop. Stop yourself right there. Check yourself right there. No, we've got to be better than them. You can be harsh, but at the right time, for the right reason. It doesn't shake my faith in Trump. I knew what I was getting. I knew what I was getting 8 years ago. 8 years ago? What is this? It's longer. 10 years ago when he came down the escalator. We are better than them. Let us keep proving it, because the people who make the difference in elections are watching. Not closely, but they're watching. We'll take a break, a little history, a little music, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. And, well, it's Wednesday. Amazingly, we're headed towards the weekend already. That means we have to start thinking Basiliga Hospitality Group. 3 amazing bar restaurants. I love them all. The Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. The Far Street Tavern, a reimagined neighborhood bar in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Your jaw will drop when you walk in there. Great food service, all of that. Fine dining, yep. Most beautiful restaurant, Northeast Pennsylvania, Terra 519. Service extraordinaire. Food outstanding. Drinks, cocktails. Wow. Ditto, Stegmeyer Mansion in an old world atmosphere. You're going to love it. Downtown Wilkes-Barre. Anthony Petrucci. He was 77 when we lost him December 7th. He was from Exeter. Born in Pittston, graduate of Exeter High School, 1965. He went on to attend Wilkes-Barre Business College. He served all of us in the United States Army Reserve's 402nd. He worked in his family business, Modern Market, and later at Sunshine Markets in Wilkes-Barre. He was a member and president of the Exeter Lions Club, president of the Exeter Little League, and president of the Emanon Country Club, where he spent his leisure time. So proud to have his grandchildren as part of his foursome. Anthony is survived by his beloved wife of 56 years, Mildred Frusciante Petrucci, his son William, and those grandchildren. Anthony Petrucci. Anthony Salerno. We lost him December 4th. He was 77 as well. He was also from Exeter. Born in West Pittston. Tony was a graduate of West Pittston High School where he excelled in basketball and football. Early in life, he coached basketball for Wyoming Valley West. A proud military veteran serving all of us in the Army National Guard from 1970 to 1976. Prior to retirement in 2010, he'd been employed as a computer programmer for many years in the Amtrak Police Department. After retiring, he enjoyed cooking and baking for his family. Tony was a member of St. Ignatius of Loyola Parish, Kingston. Tragically preceded in death by his daughters, Melissa and Allison, and by his son, Anthony. He is survived by his wife of 53 years, Shirley Volker Salerno, and by his grandchildren, a sister, and other family members. Anthony Salerno. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast a little better from our meteorologist friend Joe Snedeker. Today, a mix of clouds and sun, mild 42 degrees. We're already at 35 outside the studios. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 28. Thursday, breaks of sun and clouds, rain developing by evening, 45. Friday, cloudy and windy with rain in the morning. High temperatures falling, though, through the 30s. So we got a couple of days of relief, I guess you would call it. It is nice. Like, I took Chauncey for a couple of walks yesterday. I wasn't going out. And by the way, he'll just stop. He just stops and lays down if he doesn't want to continue walking, and he doesn't like the cold. So we let him out in the backyard, and he does whatever he's got to do. We go clean it up, and it's easier. But I like he's got to get out there. He is torturing my son Bobby's English bulldog. He's just got to be on top of him all the time, trying to play. And the other poor bulldog is much smaller, and he's 10 years old. But Chauncey, just relentless torturer. Anyway, play it, Bulldog. Andy Williams. Always loved him. I used to watch his show as a kid. He had a network show, which was a big deal back then. It's the most wonderful time of the year, Murph says, 1963. Hey, let's go right to Luciano. Hi, Luciano. How are you?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm always great at this present moment. Thank the good Lord
Happy
Jesus
to hear
Christ.
that. Happy to hear that, my
Yeah.
friend.
Can I say that? Because some people get offended by that name. But anyway, I could care less. Yes,
We
he's
don't
my
get
Lord.
offended by anything here.
Yes, Bob. I had a question to the call screener, and he didn't quite. He understood me, but let me try to make sense of what I said.
Well, he's
I
a
was
bulldog. You
talking.
have to understand that.
No, I'm not going to criticize the brother.
No, he's a
I was
bulldog.
talking.
That's not a criticism. That's a fact.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I was talking to two black gentlemen, and they told me. I said, you're that guy that talks on News Talk WILK. I said, well, I didn't know how to respond. I said, yeah, how do you think about the migrant situation and the Somali situation in this country? They put their thumbs down. They said that we are not supporting. I'm talking loud because I couldn't believe it. I said, why don't you call Bob? They said, well, we listened to the brother, and they were saying and this is what white people need to know this. Well, black people are offended that they think that the black African American community is in favor of this mass illegal and Somali invasion. They absolutely opposed to what has
They're
happened
getting
to this
screwed the
country.
most. The African Americans are getting screwed the most with the Biden open border policy.
And they said also that one guy is Lenny, a Catholic brother.
Mm-hmm.
He said we're offended by the liberal media has a lot of these white women. I love white women affectionately because they're God's creatures. They said we despise, we resent, we are hostile to the liberal media perpetrating, having white people speaking for us, thinking that we support this mass Somali invasion in Minnesota and this illegal invasion. We're absolutely opposed to that, and they gave me thumbs up on you, Bob. And I said, why don't you call Bob? He said, no, we just like to listen to him. So the listeners are listening to you, whether you know it or not, of all races, colors, creeds, and lifestyle. They absolutely listen to WIK. And you don't, and Bob, isn't it true? I heard it on a news talk radio station a few years ago. Your program is based on callers and listeners, and you have like a report card that judges you how your ratings are and all that good stuff. Is this true or not, Bob?
Yeah, no, there's ratings. They're outstanding. Yeah, we have a big audience. We're very proud of it. It's always growing. And it's a large dysfunctional family, but it's a great family. It's great. Look, I come in and hang around with you guys every day. That's how I look at it. And I love that you guys hang around with me.
And you give us credit. You give callers this credit. We're not stupid, ignorant, uneducated fools, Bob. You know that you give us credit. That's what I love about you.
I learn so much from this audience every day. I really do.
Okay, Bob. I'm gonna let you go to after January. Have a good, pleasant Christmas with you and your family.
Before then. All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right, our man Luciano. Merry Christmas. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Cat Matthews. Yeah, he's from right here. I mean, outstanding. Snow on a Christmas morning. Bob Cordaro back with you on the Upon Us program. Just a reminder, we state facts here. We tell the truth. We live in reality. And we try to spread that to the audience because it's pretty important that we all live in the fact, truth, and reality. And we explain it over and over and over again, sometimes impatiently, but mostly patiently. And we call balls and strikes. And most people appreciate that. So we're here for anybody that wants to be open-minded to fact, truth, and reality. You may not agree with all of my conclusions, but some of them are inescapable. Well, just like, for example, the greatness of our veterans and the fact that Joe Biden is not a veteran. And he's now got a veterans banner, which has got to come down. Has to. Absolutely has to. Well, my Picardo Jewelers watching. You got to stop at Picardo's this season. Just to get in the Christmas spirit, never mind if you buy anything. But buy something. It's $9.50 on the nose. It's a crema. Elvis Presley and the Jordanaires, Blue Christmas. Murph says 1957. That's one of my favorites. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Let's go right to Joe from Berwick. Hi, Joe. How are you?
The veteran is meant for to come here and come out.
Joe, do we have you?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Bob. I was listening. Sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, Bob, one of the reasons I called was because there was a story I wanted to share with you and the other Rob, and I missed my chance with him yesterday. It was about a veteran who I met, and the reason I met him is because I was working for a man, and he asked me to do work on a very tiny apartment up above his garage. And what I found out was a family was going to move in there, and this guy was a Marine combat veteran who suffered a bout of PTSD and was suicidal at one time. And his wife made the decision, to move the family, back home to live with family above this garage in this little apartment, try to get away from everything and get things right. Well, this was a story that went on for about 2 years, and I felt so bad for him. You've seen this stare with people in prisons, like people who are on heavy medications and they're just sitting there in that zoned out type of state.
Yeah.
And I walked in once and I saw the man in that kind of condition. And then there's his wife with 2 children trying to keep everything together. And she had to take on a job because their finances were a mess, and he couldn't work.
How old of a guy is he?
I'm thinking he was in his 40s from what I remember, maybe late 30s, early 40s. He had 2 very young teenage kids. Well, this situation, like I said, went on for about 2 years, and this guy was actually an administrator in my son-in-law's school. My son-in-law knew who the guy was, and when I told him, the state that I had found the man in, he said, that's unbelievable. He goes, that doesn't sound like him at all.
Yeah.
Well, eventually what happened is one day they moved out. They went to Florida. I guess through his contacts at the VA, somebody said to him, hey, there's a teaching position at a school in Florida for military kids. He goes, you more than qualify. He said, would you like to try the job? And they went down there, and they've been there for over a year now, and they said I still work for the family, and they said the transformation was incredible. They said he's back to his old self.
That's great.
And they said one of the things that is also part of the story is he got a rescue dog, a lab. But as they often say, who rescued who?
Yeah.
And they say just the transformation in this man, and it's like it never happened. He's back to his old self, and just very, very good story.
That's
very
a good
story.
feel-good story, particularly at this time of year. I'm happy to hear that. Because PTSD is real, and it was covered up and ignored, for our friends and others, relatives who went through World War II, certainly World War I.
Yeah.
And they just had to live with it. They just had to deal with it, and didn't always do so very well. But happy to hear that story. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. Take care.
All right. We got to go because it's time for the news. It's 10 o'clock on my Picardo Jewelers watch. Let's hear from the news from Brian Hughes. We'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo's Jeweler Watch tells me it's 10:07 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, December 17, year of our Lord, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and to honor, with the help of our friend John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John, like Anthony Salerno, Exeter, Anthony Petrucci, Exeter, Norman Williams, Mahanoy City and Hazleton, Stephen Seminovich, Oliphant, Anthony Buccalini, Taylor, Ralph Evans, Mifflinville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that because of our commitment to common sense, and look that word up, we'll provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of the morning, for this program. That's what we do here every day. We dedicate ourselves to common sense, and the rest flows naturally. Hey, my man Rich McHale texts something in. He says, "Morning, Bob. As you know, I support Trump. His love for country is without a doubt undeniable. But as I recall, his mouth during term one was his downfall. Well, here he goes again. You think he could have said something positive in a negative situation? Rob Reiner and his wife didn't deserve their demise, like Charlie Kirk. Trump should have taken the high road. That said, he puts himself in the same light as those Democrat idiots who refused to stand for that cancer-stricken boy in the chamber at the State of the Union speech. Yeah. And I'm telling you this, and I'll say it again and again. It's what I've been telling a lot of people who've been communicating with. Yeah, well, they did this, and they said this, and they wish Trump would die and all that. That's fine. We're better than them. We live lives that are grounded in fact, truth, and reality. Many of them are, if not confused, are mentally ill. You want to be on that train? I certainly don't. So we criticize Trump and tell him, shut the hell up once in a while. Shut up. And by the way, having Rich send that in reminds me of something that he and I came up with at the same time just a couple months ago. I've determined for Christmas gifts, if I don't know what to buy for somebody, instead of buying junk or, a stupid sweater or whatever, I'm going to donate to the Shriners, Tunnel to Towers, St. Jude's, and Wounded Warrior. They have those monthly deals, and that's what I'm going to do. Because you can't, the gift thing. It's a little goofy anyway, isn't it? And it's not what Christmas is supposed to be about. Well, oil prices are generally sinking this week, despite American seizure of a tanker off Venezuela's coast and, in fact, an announced embargo of Venezuelan oil. Ukraine hit a Russian tanker in the Black Sea as well. But this kind of these issues generally drive prices up, but they're not going up. So what do? We turn to our oil expert, Jay Young, founder and CEO of King Operating Corporation, and we find out what his thoughts are. Jay, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Thanks, Bob Cordaro. Thanks for having me on again. Always enjoy it.
Well,
Always a great show. One of the best.
We love having you on. And I love having an oil expert because an energy expert really tells us what's going on in the economy because it's the lead-in for everything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is based on how much oil is being pumped out of the ground compared to what our needs are. Because the reason why oil and gas goes up and down is because of supply and demand. It's like any commodity. And so we have to look at, what are our needs? How much are we pumping out of the ground? But also, how much is OPEC bringing over? And well, that's kind of like trying to figure out what my ex-wife's going to do tomorrow. It's like, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, we won't go there, Bob.
No,
we're not
because you're going to get yourself.
We're talking about oil and gas.
You're going to get yourself in trouble, and you'll get me in trouble by implication.
Yeah, no, okay.
but now you're seeing, in your fourth generation oil and gas, you're seeing the real possibility that oil and energy prices are going to drop next year. Tell us about that and why.
Yeah, well, they will. They will. And the reason why is because right now we have an oversupply of oil in the market. And if you have more, it's like COVID. Right before COVID, we were producing oil like no tomorrow. It's like we're producing all this oil, and all of a sudden OPEC said, hey, you know what? I think we're going to put a lot of oil in the market because we want to gain market share. And so how they gain market share is by, lowering the price and knocking all these shale drillers, and I mean shale, S-H-A-L-E, kind of like your landman's drilling some shale wells. Yeah. And Billy Bob. And but anyway, so what they're doing is they're trying to gain market share, and they're trying to lower the price, because when they lower the price on these shale drillers, the break evens go down, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute, we can't produce these wells at this price. So they dump a lot of oil in the market, which is the same thing they're doing right now. I mean, it's a cycle. 4 generations, I've seen, I don't know exactly how many cycles of between 10 to 20% over time, but it is a lot, because it's what happens, right? We're in a cycle right now. We're seeing a lot of oil in the market. Prices are at $56 a barrel. We quit drilling 2 years ago in the Permian Basin. We literally 18% of the rigs in the Permian Basin are sitting in the yards right now, and it'll increase once they get their budgets, finished up this year, and they're going to say for 2026, our budgets are going to say, well, we don't want to go back to drilling yet. So there's going to be more rigs stacked in the fields, that Billy Bob's driving by. You'll see more rigs sitting there, and that's just what happens. And so, by next summer or the end of next year, we're going to see a really big increase in prices. It's kind of like, why do we see increase in prices? Well, because when prices go down, what happens is the drilling of oil and gas goes down. Okay, so like right now, it may cost me, a year ago, it cost us $10 million to drill a well. This year, that same well, same everything, it's probably going to cost us $8.5 million. Okay, so the lower, because what I want to do is when I'm going by and looking for a rig to drill a well, drilling rig to drill a well, which increases production, which produces oil, then I want to see 3 or 4 rigs in that field before I pull up and go, hey, I need a rig. If there's none there, no rigs in the yard, then the guy goes, yeah, well, we don't have any rigs available, but if you want it, it's $25,000 a day.
Yeah.
If I walk in there and there's 3 or 4 drilling rigs in the yard, he goes, oh, okay, well, it's probably about maybe 16. I can give you this one for 17,000. It's a different price. They want to put their rigs to work. So, and there's like 100 different vendors. Like building a house, Bob. You build a house and you got a roofer, you got a cement guy, you got a drywall, you got a kitchen. I mean, it's the same thing with drilling a well. There's so many different vendors that it takes to drill a well. It's not just a one size fits all. So we'll see prices come down this year, and then they're going to go back up next year because we're not going to have as much oil. And if we don't have as much oil on the markets, and OPEC starts coming back, and they're going, okay, yeah, hey, we gained some market share when prices were down. Now we're going to hold back our oil, and so we'll have less oil in the market next summer when we're trying to drive on vacation. And then when we do that, we're going to have less oil in the market, and prices are going to go up.
Jay Young is our
It's a
guest.
cycle.
He is the founder and CEO of King Operating Corporation, oil and gas company based in Dallas, Texas. He's the author of The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. Great book, really good book. It teaches
Thank
you
you.
a lot. So the one thing that a big company could do, and is this done? You tell me. Do they say, all right, we're going to pump and we're going to store it until the price returns, then we'll sell it? Is that an option? It isn't for many smaller drillers.
Yeah, no, not, and it's hard to do that because the storage capacity, for oil, you need a big bucket, right? You need a big tank, you need a lot. So they will try to do that to some extent, but most oil and gas companies don't have, and number one, they want their money turned back to them because they just put $10 million into drilling a well. They're like, well, let's don't go store it over here and, put it on our balance sheet or something. So that's a good thought. And matter of fact, during COVID, we did do that some because we were buying renting every frac tank we could and putting it in the field because prices had gone negative. Who wants to sell oil for a negative? So we did put some frac tanks aside, but they only hold like 400 barrels. So it's like you're not really going to do yourself any huge favors, by renting out all these because it's a $200 a day for this and that and transportation and all that. So it's a good thought. But normally, what happens is you'll have enough wells going in at one time, and you'll have other break evens. Our break evens on our wells are $30, $25, $30. So it's different for us. We're not shell drillers, which you can learn about in my book, which I sent Bob a copy, which I'm glad that you mentioned it. I appreciate that. Matter of fact, if you're interested, you can go to my website. I'll send out 5 to the people out there that are interested in looking at oil and gas as an option for your investment purposes. The government will give you back a check on imaginary check on January 1st because it's deductible, and you can be a part of Landman and Billy Bob Thornton and all that, and be happy. So we're glad. But the great thing about oil and gas is it's a proven commodity. If you're with an experienced operator, disciplined operator that is like what we do, we're drilling in areas that are not shell, that we had to pay, $20,000 an acre to lease land. We're in other areas that we can build up our oil and gas assets and sell. So we're in that area, and I love the business and fourth generation, and it's something that we'll pass on to our kids and hopefully, because I don't see demand going down anytime soon. Even though the price may go up and down, demand for oil continues to go up, and I feel like it's going to continue to go up. We're always going to need oil. So the price will go up and down, but
Jay Young is our guest, founder and CEO of King Operating Company, the author of The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. My man Mark Mayer tells me he paid $2.73 per gallon on Long Island yesterday. Now, when these prices start creeping up because we're not drilling right now or we're delaying drilling, is it a real possibility, given Trump's amazing relationship with the Arab countries, particularly the Saudis, that they'll step up production and shipment to fill that gap? Because they know that it's a midterm election and that the Democrats being elected aren't good for them.
Right. Exactly. And so what they'll do is they'll keep. Matter of fact, in Norman, Oklahoma, I saw on the billboard the cheapest unleaded was $2.03. I think I took a picture of that because I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't seen this price in a long time. But yeah, I mean, you'll see. And unfortunately, drill baby drill was what Trump wanted to make sure that he got best prices, and we were paying less at the pump, which puts more money in people's pockets for not paying so much for oil. So I see the prices now. You'll have midterm elections, and then right after that, you'll see prices go up because, we won't have as much supply from OPEC. So that's why I'm very, very bullish right now on investing in oil and gas and participating in oil and gas, whether it's ours or anybody's. I'm not just touting my own horn. Of course, Bob, I like doing that, but I'm just saying that now's a good time because you want to drill at a cheaper price, and right now we're going out to vendors and saying, hey, how much do you want for that pipe? Well, we want $12 a foot. Well, how much over here? 11. Well, we got 10 and a half. Okay, I want it 10 and a half a foot, and I want it on my location by Tuesday. It's like we can negotiate, but when prices are 100, 120, it's like, no, you'll pay $20 and you'll come get it, and you'll come get it by Tuesday. It's like it's a crazy business, but right now it's a great time to participate. It's a great time to put feelers out and think about, let's get that rig long term. We've got some incredible assets that we're drilling and King operating, and we want to get some good prices now and lock in good prices, because when prices go up, which they will, I mean, not only because we're drilling, there's less drilling rigs in the Permian Basin where we produce the majority of our oil, 6 million barrels a day, and like Texas, is a big producer of oil, and also natural gas, but also when wells come online, especially the shale wells, they decline. So you're seeing not only, number one, rig count going down, but you're also seeing wells that decline at 40 to 60% the first year. Then they come in at 1,000 barrels a day or 3,000, but they're down 40 to 60% the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like these things come in and they increase in production. No. Oil wells decline, and they'll decline rapidly. So we've got to replace that oil. That's why there's drilling rigs, and that's why it takes so many of them. And God put the oil there to decline, and we need further activity and all this. So, man, we're going to see 12 million barrels. We got almost 14 million barrels a day right now in the United States. We'll see 12 and a half next year by the summertime. And just because of our U.S. domestic production is going to go down. And when it does, prices will go up. So when we drill these wells at 8.5 million this year and next year, we're going to get $70, $80. You're going to pay $3 at the pump, and we're going to be laughing our way to the bank, and our investors will, with monthly income checks that are growing because the prices are going up.
Well, let's
let's
hope for all that. But I just want the Arabs to come in before the election, so the Democrats don't take control of Congress again. Jay Young, thank you,
exactly.
my man. He's founder
Absolutely.
and CEO, King Operating Corporation, the author of The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. We look forward to talking to you again, Jay.
I look forward to it always, Bob. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. And as we head into the weekend, we feature today the Basiliga Hospitality Group. 3 amazing bar restaurants. The Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. The Far Street Tavern, the great Trips Park section of West Scranton. And Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. They're all awesome. Awesome. A Terra 519, fine dining in a modern setting like you've never seen. Check it out. Downtown Scranton, 519 Linden Street. And the Stegmeyer Mansion. Incomparable old world feel. Amazing food, great service, great bar. Love it. Norman Williams. He's 89. He died December 5th. He was formerly of Mahanoy City and Hazleton, but was living in Downington at the home of his son when he passed away. Born in Ashland, he was a member of Christ Lutheran Church Hazleton. He served as staff sergeant in the U.S. Air Force during the Korean War. He was invited to join fellow service members in the honor flight to Washington, D.C. Preceding him in death were his first wife, the former Nancy Purnell, and his second wife, the former Carmela LaRocco. Surviving are his son Todd and his grandson Kyle. Norm worked for Prudential Insurance Company, retiring in 1991, traveled the world extensively. Norman Williams. His beautiful obituary picture shows him waving, and it looks like goodbye. Absolutely beautiful. Steven Seminovich. We lost him December 5th as well. He was 85. He was from Oliphant. He was preceded in death by his beloved wife of 50 years, Elaine Marlene Wanis Seminovich. Semonich, I apologize. Back in 2020. He was born in Peckville, a proud United States Army veteran, having served in the U.S. Military Army Band at West Point, New York. A 1958 graduate of Oliphant High School, he later attended the University of Scranton. Steve Semonich retired from Bank of America in Moosic back in 2004. He'd been previously employed by Ford Motor Company in Jersey. Member of St. Carlo Acutis Parish at St. Patrick's Church, Oliphant, and a former member of Holy Ghost Church. He also belonged to the Musicians Union of Scranton, accomplished trumpet and French horn player. Played with the Lennoxville Community Band, the Crystal Band of Scranton, and the Penn State Scranton Chorale, as well as the Campus Jazz Band. Survived by one daughter, Jill Carney, and her husband, one son, 2 grandchildren, and other family members. Stephen Simonich, our great veterans, this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, a mix of clouds and sun, mild, high 42. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 28. Thursday, breaks of sun and clouds with rain developing by evening, 45 degrees. Friday, cloudy and windy with rain in the morning. Temperatures will be falling that day through the 30s. All right. Well, we're back. Bob Cordaro and all of that. One of my favorite songs in prison. Hold on, I'm coming. Sam and Dave. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Let's get to a couple texts. We've got some good ones here. Somebody says, let us not forget the complete incompetence of officials in Providence, Rhode Island, whether it be the school itself or the city of Providence. It's either gross incompetence or worse, a cover-up and a scrubbing of social media. Remember that. They scrubbed social media dealing with trans and Islamists. The university did. Well, you just look at a bunch of fools, and I've got to say that I don't want to be hard-hearted, and please tell me I'm being that, if I am. Who's paying these English Sign Language? Like, if you're watching on TV, there already is closed captioning. I don't get it. I mean, she was amusing, the one in Providence, the faces she was making and everything. I don't get it. It's this wokeness, this political correctness that just permeates everything. By the way, my man Brian Kunda says, the banner and expressway signs on Sleepy Joe have to come down. He ruined the country. Amen. Another, Bob, what's happening overseas is happening here. Biden is not a veteran. Veterans only for the banners. The left is so sick, they want to ruin traditional values. Woke everywhere. Men and women's sports, transgender pride on Easter Sunday. Remember that during the Biden administration? This is all by design to destroy our American heritage. Somebody else says, Bob, maybe Susie and Donald are retarded. Another opening thought, provokingly admirable and disturbing. One line made me think of this horrifying event. I never forgot it. Frightened me. Approximately 1,200 women were reported in Germany to have been sexually assaulted, especially in the city of Cologne. In many of the incidents, while these women were in public spaces, they were surrounded and assaulted by large groups of men who were identified by officials as Muslim men of Arab or North African origin. The Federal Criminal Police Office confirmed in July 2016 that 1,200 women had been sexually assaulted. This was during 2015 to 2016 New Year's celebrations. Unbelievable. I'm telling you. See, and you heard the comment on our own news. Some people say it's unfair. What is fair? What makes any sense of importing people from destroyed countries and sick cultures? It's happening in Great Britain as well, not just Germany. Their culture says it's okay to gang rape non-Muslim women. That's their culture. Unbelievable. And yeah, just let them in. And if you don't, you're this, you're that, or whatever. Crazy people. Absolute crazy people. Virtue signaling. Oh, I'm so nice. I'm such a good person. I'll let anybody into the country. I don't care who they rape. I don't care who they kill. I don't care how much they take off our government. Sick. Somebody texts in, Bob, just a little word on Anthony Petrucci. I knew him. We were good friends. I went through basic training with him. How about that? Had good times together. He's a great guy and will be sadly missed. He also made fabulous hoagies. Thank you, and thank John Basiliga for all you do for our veterans, LTS. I got to tell you, John Basiliga does a lot for our veterans. I don't do anything for the veterans. They do it for us, and I merely point that out. So I love that when somebody, though, thanks a veteran. And you're a fellow veteran, so thank you even more. Anthony Petrucci, who we honored in the first hour. So, yeah, that's, you know what? Somebody asked a question I didn't get to ask Jay Young. What do we have to do to get more refineries in America? Because they're closing a big one down in California because lunatic Gavin Newsom has made it impossible to make money. Crazy. Someone texted, Bob is a former police officer and correctional officer with a love for my country and a large family of a military background that have seen action from North Korea to Vietnam with actual firefights, along with my dad, who spent time in Beirut, Lebanon. The banner hung in honor of unqualified person, President of the United States or not, is nothing short of a slap in the face to those who actually served and fought and died for this country. It's stolen valor, and being the Greenridge Association thinks this is a true honor is nothing else but a disgraceful attempt for an ineligible person. A person who lived in this area with 5 deferments doesn't give them the right to that banner. A DD 214 to an honorable person discharged who actually served and risked their life does. RW, LTS, always. Yep. It's got to come down. Somebody says, Bob, please explain to me how the Sheetz by Wyoming Valley Mall is $2.96 a gallon, and 1.8 miles down the road in Plains, the Sheetz is $3.29 a gallon. Rich the Courier, WTF. I can't figure this out. Now, there's a gas station right next to us here, which it's my most convenient gas station. And I'll go there, but it's at $3.19 a gallon, so I'm going to the truck stops for $3 and change. In fact, I missed $2.98. It was there one day. And at the Pilot. So, yeah, I can't make head nor tail. It has almost always been more expensive in Lackawanna County than Luzerne County. That's another thing I can't figure out. Now, you know this, Pennsylvania has the second highest gas tax in the country, so we're getting screwed anyway. Yeah. All right. We're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Just a reminder, David DeCosmo is going to be with us after the news because this week was the start of the Giardiasis crisis. If you never heard of it, it'll be worth listening. And if you lived it, it'll be even better to listen to David DeCosmo. Let's take a break now, though, and we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. He's talking about Church Street, Jessup. Great song, Robert Michael from Jessup. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK and the eponymous program. Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for December 17. She said, "We never base our assistance on the religious beliefs of the needy, but on the need itself. We are not concerned with the religious beliefs of those we help. We only focus on their urgent need for our love and care." And boy, did she ever. The vast majority of the people she helped were not Catholic. Were not Christian. A bunch of you texting in. My man Paul tells me it's $2.95 in Syracuse. Somebody else, Bob, one gas station in Mountaintop is $2.91 a gallon. See, I would go out of my way, unless they're selling kerosene, and go get the cheaper gas on principle. Like, I won't go next door as long as they're stuck at $2.19, although they were fixing the sign. It might have been a problem with the sign. It got blown in the wind or something. And then another gas at Sam's Club this morning was $2.84.9. Interesting. Now, apropos of nothing, Bob LTS, Beaver Fever Slick. I don't know what Beaver Fever is. Was that Penn State? I'm not even sure. In my perfect America, Bob, tariffs would be set in such a way so that any product coming into America costs the same as if it was made in America plus shipping. Well, that's pretty much what Trump's trying to do. And I when people criticize the tariff policies, I say, well, where are you coming from? Unfair international trade has hollowed out and virtually destroyed our middle class. You could blame the rich all you want. But when all of these cheap goods are coming in here unfairly, that means the middle class jobs that made those things previously, domestically, they've lost their jobs. And they've got to go for other jobs. There's less jobs. That means they have to pay less because there's more demand for the jobs. Unfair trade over the last 50 years has hollowed out our middle class. I always talk about it. Growing up in the 60s, the 70s, if you sold tires, I say this about my neighborhood. We had people who worked, just basic jobs at a bank. I could go to my neighborhood top to bottom. Selling tires at Duke Tires, working at the RCA. They all had good lives, nice houses, raised their kids. It's a very important deal. Very important what we've lost because of unfair trade. Somebody says $2.75 at Penn Jersey just before the old Sugarman's. And another $2.89 cash in Tunkhannock. I love it. And thank the election of 24 for doing it. Remember that. Please remember that. And are our memories so short that we forget what Biden and Democrat policies did to this economy? Are they that short? I hope and pray not. No matter what you think of Trump himself. Somebody says, wait, repeat that again. $2.84.9. Yeah, $2.84.9. What was it at the Sam's Club? By the way, electrician asking me, it's Jay Young that we interviewed. I'm even forgetting the damn name of the company. It's Jay Young. You'll have to go on Rewind or Flashback because it's a great book, a very interesting book. I learned a lot. Well, my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11 o'clock. That means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. We're going to do that And then we'll come back with our man, David DeCosmo, and a little thing called giardiasis. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo's Jeweler watch tells me it's 11:08 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, December 17, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our friend John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we salute today, having lost them this year, but celebrating them thanks to John, like Anthony Petrucci, Exeter, Anthony Salerno, Exeter, Norman Williams, Mahanoy City and Hazleton, and Stephen Semenich, Oliphant, Anthony Boccolini, Taylor, and Ralph Evans, Mifflinville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this hour as we continue to rely on common sense. Hey, speaking of Charlie Kirk, this was sent to me off charliekirk.com. Says this should make your blood boil. 3,920,028 illegals were given Social Security and Medicaid in 4 years. If each one of them was receiving $2,000 a month, that's $1,931 $1,193,281,856 every day. Whoever set this up needs to go to prison. They risked our seniors' lifeline, and they didn't care. They spent money from the VA on illegals that they were pumping into this country. Oh, it's completely sick. So when I think about them, I think about something good. And you know what that something good is? A real journalist, our man, David DeCosmo. David, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm doing pretty well considering my advancing years, Bob.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, you alerted me to this, that this is a sort of a blue banner anniversary, the Giardiasis crisis.
It is, Bob. I am sometimes remembered for my work with the Agnes Flood, and many people say, well, that was probably the biggest story you ever did. I'm not so sure, because it was actually December 20th of 1983 when I broke the story that Giardiasis had been discovered in our area. Now, to be honest, the health department, a fellow named Bernie Healy, an epidemiologist with the state health department, had been tracking this for some time. And this perhaps explains the comment that somebody wrote to you about beaver fever, because in October of 1983, the health department started
somebody they texted into me about beaver fever. Slick did, one of our listeners, one of our great listeners. I had no idea what he was talking about. There it is. Beaver fever.
This is it. Yeah. In October of 83, the health department started to notice a couple cases of an intestinal virus, an intestinal flu-like virus that was normally only found out in the West, out in the Rockies. Campers and hikers would come down with this intestinal disease. They were, drinking water from streams out there, and that water was contaminated by the feces of beavers. And all of a sudden, they started to notice, wait a minute, you might get a case around here every now and then, but now we're seeing 2, 3, 4, 5 cases. And Bernie Healy notified me, and he said, Dave, something big is about to happen. I said, can I break the story? He said, yeah, we'll officially announce it in 2 days, but you can break it. And what was discovered was that we had way too many cases of giardiasis, and that the cysts that cause this were discovered in at least one of our area reservoirs. Now, the impact of this, Bob, was fantastic because people, first in 14 Luzerne County communities, then wider, and then in Lackawanna County, had to boil their water before they could drink it. The only way to be safe from this disease. And of course, the long-term effects were far greater. First of all, you had thousands and thousands of people that had to boil their drinking water. The first immediate remedy for this, other than the boiling, would have been superchlorination, adding additional chlorine to your water supplies to kill these cysts, while at the same time sending crews out literally to trap the beavers in the area. Yeah, you're sending Davy Crockett out to solve a problem for Luzerne and Lackawanna counties. So the superchlorination was thought to be a very short-term solution. The boiling was something you had to do every day, Luzerne, Lackawanna County, unless you're on wells. And eventually, of course, the real answer was the expensive answer, and that was filtration plants. And you saw them as they were built in Luzerne and Lackawanna County by Pennsylvania Gas and Water Company. And, of course, it cost millions and millions of dollars to put those plants up to assure us safety from this disease. And we are still living with that. We're still paying the extra freight for keeping those filtration plants open and going. But it was, the safe thing to do. Of course, it's also a reminder, Bob, get a lot of people that still go out there with their empty milk containers and they stop at their local spring and say, boy, this tastes the best. Well, that may be something that's more psychological than realistic because you're still getting it from a stream, and whatever animals are upstream from where you're getting it could be causing you a problem.
Now, one of our listeners texts in, Mike says that giardiasis was the boom to the water bottle industry, meaning bottled water.
Yes. It was a boom to the water bottle industry because a lot of people, and rather than boiling every day, would go out and buy their water. But by the same token, Bob, while it may have helped that industry, it was a horrible blow to industrial development officials throughout this area who were trying to market our area. And one of the things which often was very attractive was the taste that we had great water in this area. And so for a time, it actually impeded industrial development in Luzerne and Lackawanna counties.
And it was not just Luzerne and Lackawanna. It was really the whole region. So it was a pretty important story. Why here instead of elsewhere around the country? Because it was a big deal.
Well, I think it was discovered here.
Yeah.
And then it opened eyes elsewhere because now you've got filtration plants everywhere. And, you're very frankly, the water that comes out of your tap now should be the best and purest drinking water you can get, as opposed to even bottled water. It should be safer from the tap because of the filtration that they went through.
Yeah.
So, that's it. Again, from the standpoint of long-range impact on millions of people in terms of getting safe water, but having to pay for the mechanics to get that safe water, I think it was probably the biggest story I was ever able to break. And I got to tell you, I was very proud as a newsman to break that on December 20th of 1983 and see it appear in newspapers and radio and TV 2 days later.
Now, David, on top of that, it toppled a United States congressman from Wilkes-Barre, Congressman Harrison. He was in the on vacation when the crisis broke, and I guess he stayed there.
Well, it was probably somewhere where the water was safe.
Yeah. Well, Paul Kanjorski used it to beat him in the next election. Actually, I'm sorry. It was a Republican who beat him. He had defeated Ray Musto,
Right.
and then I can't believe I'm blanking on the name, but a Republican candidate actually beat Democrat Congressman Harrison because he was insufficiently attending to the giardiasis crisis. So your story had pretty big implications.
It is, but it's not the kind of thing you think of like the Agnes flood, of course, and yet long range, it had tremendous impact. So I think it's worth remembering. And this happens to be, it was, 42 years ago this month.
Now people tell us this is another sort of side effect. Water out of the tap in Scranton is so full of chlorine that it's undeniable in that state. It needs to be filtered. And I know this. I'll run the water for my dog, and it just doesn't smell right. Too much chlorine.
Well, I have to tell you, Bob, that the superchlorination, which was used temporarily, left not only an arid taste in the water, but it actually caused rings around bathtubs and fixtures, and in some cases helped destroy some pipes, because they had to put so much in to deal with destroying those cysts.
All right, so David, you get this story. It's yours. It's exclusive to you, and you're 2 days ahead. Did anybody at WDAU question you? Did anyone say, David, are we out beyond our skis? Were they worried? Or did you have it nailed so completely that you knew everyone else was going to have to follow?
I have to say that my method of operation, my MO, has always been, Bob, such that if I released it, my bosses could trust it. And this was not, they say there's two sides to every story. Well, not in this case. The cysts were there. They had identified them. This is in your water supply, and it wasn't like, well, somebody else says it isn't. No, it was there. I had total confidence from my source. Again, it came from Bernie Healy, who was an epidemiologist with the state health department. We happen to be good friends, and when I asked if I could break it immediately, he said, well, the official announcement is in 2 days, but go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
And he trusted me with it, and my bosses trusted me. So there it was. And again, it's 42 years later, and we're still drinking water that is going through filtration plants for the most part. And basically, you may have some bad taste down there, but I got to tell you, it's still the safest water in the world. You look around the world, Bob, and see people that are drinking water from puddles. So we're pretty lucky.
Safe doesn't necessarily mean good tasting. It doesn't mean perfect, but safe. Well, David, thank you so much. The man who broke the giardiasis story 42 years ago this week. We appreciate it. I love it. Well, you are history. You're history itself.
Thank you, Bob. I want to wish you and all of your listeners a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and as always, I hope all your news is good.
Merry Christmas, David DeCosmo. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Gene Autry. Murph says this, 1949, he came out with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Many other good renditions since. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Somebody texted in, safest drinking water, my arse. And another, beaver fever. You know, I never heard that. I know I was living out of town at the time, 82, 83. But I would have thought I'd have heard that moniker. I did not. All right, let's go to Mike in Bloomsburg. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. Yourself, Robert?
Doing great, thanks.
Great. Hey, I just happened to turn on the radio this morning right when you played that introduction that featured Charlie Kirk and some of the wonderful things that he said. Now, for the average person out there that's, maybe non-denominational or doesn't believe in God, he was talking to you too when he said that. He was sending out a warning, and that warning is America is under attack. We are under attack in many facets, and we need to recognize that. And unfortunately, our friends in the Democrat left are aiding and abetting the very people that want to attack us.
Or,
some of them,
by the way, they are the people doing the attack. They've linked up. The left has linked up with Islamists to attack the Judeo-Christian values of this country, to undermine them, and to destroy the country eventually.
Yes, you said it much better than I am capable of saying. I thank you much for that, Bob. We are in trouble, deep trouble, and unless we unite and rally around a course that puts America back on track, the downslide in this country is going to continue to the point where we are easy pickings, to the point that maybe we'll even destroy this country ourselves.
Yeah.
It's getting that bad in my mind. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, again, I'm always behind a few days on the news because I really don't listen to the news that much. I don't watch any news on TV hardly ever.
You're not missing much. I do it every day.
Right. And now what I heard about 2 days after the woman in Brown University was killed, I guess her name was Ella Cook, someone called me up and says, they did it again. I said, did what again? Just like they killed Charlie Kirk, they killed Ella Cook in Brown University. I said, well, tell me about this. And they said that she was targeted because she was a conservative in a liberal area and all that, and I said, well, honestly, I don't know anything about this. But it's my understanding now that her family was told by authorities that she was targeted. Have you heard that?
I get so much information on incidents like this. I've got to distill it, but I've gotten a lot of information in a direction. I was sent this morning and maybe overnight a picture of the killer, and and you don't know if any of it's AI or whatever, but there appear to be Islamist and left-wing ideology behind the murder, and that it was targeted. But I don't have that confirmed yet, so I mention only what I'm hearing, not that I believe it at this moment.
Right. And again, all the garbage will get out before the truth comes. So that
well, because you got a bunch of left-wing lunatics who are controlling the investigation at this moment.
Exactly. And the left-wing lunatics in the media spreading everything they can to discredit that.
Yep.
I'm looking right now at the computer. It was right after Charlie Kirk was murdered, and I think it may have been Huffington Post. Basically, they went through Charlie Kirk, and they took 13 things that came out of his mouth and put them up there to make him sound like a complete idiot, a racist, a hater, and all these things, okay? And that was the story that got out before the real story got out. And that is one of the techniques of the left. When they go to take over a country or destroy it, they get their narratives out there, get them spread to confuse people, to mix them up, to try to make them not want to believe the truth.
Well, someone on the hard left will develop a narrative, and then the mainstream left stream media will pick it up, and it's that old story. What is it? A lie could get around the world 20 times before the truth gets its pants on, and that's what they do.
Right. No, let's look at it realistically. Charlie Kirk, conservative. Ella Cook, conservative. Donald Trump, MAGA. Our National Guard, representing law and security. All these people have either been murdered or attempted to be murdered. Okay, and so the idea that the right is the one creating all the violence, that's basically almost generally accepted by the public, when in reality, we're not the ones.
The opposite is
rioting.
True. Well, Mike, yeah. I made a note to myself that basically white supremacist terror is breaking out all over. Really? Not any. It's just like, remember, that was the Biden administration looking for white supremacists. By the way,
right.
Focusing on the military, our own mayor in Scranton had a left-wing lunatic consultant that we paid a fortune for come out with the same thing, to watch out for ex-military white people. It's insane.
Bob, I cannot believe there's so much that's happening so fast, and I'm getting older, that I forgot all about Biden saying that, because that really perturbed me, because I am a white person.
He just said it recently again. In his addlement, his complete addlement.
And the point I want to make, Bob, is I'm a Caucasian, and I am outnumbered in my family by non-Caucasians, and that idiot is calling me a MAGA racist. Man, oh man, he's something
Scum.
bad, isn't he?
Scum.
Yeah,
scum.
Hey, listen,
and we've got a military banner honoring his military service in Scranton when he got 5 deferments to avoid it.
What was that?
In the Hometown Heroes banner. Green Ridge Neighborhood Association put up a Hometown Heroes banner for Joe Biden, who never served in the military.
Bob, I do not want to talk about the nearly dead, but I'm going to tell you about Joe Biden. And I may have mentioned this before. In 1977, I graduated from Bloomsburg State College, and I pretty much sat in the front row right in front of Joe Biden, and he was the speaker. And he got up and he spoke. And I said to myself, there's only 100 senators in the whole United States, and this guy is one of them? I don't believe it. I'm serious, Bob.
I know. And that was at his peak of talent.
Probably. And then the best part was, once he became president, I started talking to all the people that I could be in contact with that graduated when I did. And not a single one of them remembered who our commencement speaker was. And it was the President of the United States.
He would have been forgettable if they hadn't made him the President of the United States. I know. Michael, we got to go, but thank you always.
You're welcome. Have a good day now. Take care. Bye.
You too. We've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back with our Veterans Tribute and more, and all of you, some callers after this. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. And since we're headed to the weekend already, we got to talk Basiliga hospitality. Fine dining, the best anywhere, not just Northeast Pennsylvania. The incredible Stegmeyer Mansion, South Franklin Street, Wilkes-Barre. Fine dining in a turn-of-the-century mansion. Great food, great bar, great service, great people. Want a modern take? A Terra 519, downtown Scranton. It's incredible. Got to go there last Friday night. Oh, a Terra 519. 519 Linden Street, Scranton. Bar restaurants, 3 of the best, period. Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant. Far Street Tavern. The Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. And up in 307 in Springbrook Township, the Old Brook Inn. None better. Anthony Boccalini. He passed away November 13th in Washington, D.C. Born in Taylor, PA, a graduate of Duryea High School, 1960. After graduation, he served us for 4 years in the U.S. Air Force, primarily in Europe. He then worked in Central Systems Division of Chandler Evans. Tony then furthered his education, graduating from Penn State University, and after that he worked for the Naval Department as a systems analyst, retiring in 2003. He traveled extensively in his job to various military bases, and after retirement he resided in Crestwood Village, Frederick, Maryland. Survived by his sisters and many other family members. Uncle Tony, Tony Boccalini. Ralph Evans, he was 95, a longtime AT&T tech, active church member from Mifflinville. We lost him November 27th this year. He resided in Mifflin Township for more than 55 years. Graduated from Bloomsburg High School, 1948. He enlisted in the Army in February 1949 and served us in the Korean War. He married his loving wife, Martha, back in 1952. Martha Beagle Evans. She preceded him in death back in 2021. Ralph was employed for many years by Bell Telephone and AT&T as a PBX technician until he retired in 1990. Active member of St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church, Mifflinville, for more than 65 years. He served on the church council for many years. Ralph and his wife, Martha, were members of the Susquehanna Country Squares, a square dance club in Mifflinville. Also, he was a lion and loved hunting and fishing. Survivors include his beloved children, grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. Ralph Evans. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you as always by John Basiliga, and on this day, Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, mix of clouds and sun, mild, high 42, 38 outside the studios now. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 28. Thursday, breaks of sun and clouds. Rain developing by evening, 45 degrees. Friday, cloudy and windy with rain in the morning. Temperatures falling through the 30s on Friday. I want to get to the phones, but a quick mention. Charles Shea, and this was sent to me, and thankfully so. Mike from Bloomsburg. He was a decorated Native American veteran. He was 19-year-old U.S. Army medic landing on Omaha Beach on D-Day. He was 101 years old when he passed away. He lived in Bretteville in France's Normandy region. He was given the France's highest award, the Legion of Honor, in 2007. She had been living in France since 2018. He saved thousands of soldiers in that conflict and throughout, including the Battle of the Bulge. Native American Charles Shea. Just wanted to mention him today. Let's go to the phone. Donald's been very patient. Donald, how are you, my man?
Oh yeah, I want to talk to you about that gasoline. Why is it all different?
First, we want to give. I did it on the air yesterday, but our condolences for the loss of your mom.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, it's all about the liability. You can't go through the tunnels with the tankers. Hazard weight distance. I was in transportation business and I took a dive into it, and that's why it is. Maybe there's a bridge or something. Everything's calculated. The insurance liability to get the fuel to the distance, the hazard weight. There might be a bridge they can't cross. They have to go around a special way. You don't think of these things. Like you're in Mountaintop, you're just dropping it right off at the turnpike. That's why the gasoline in Texas is dirt cheap. It's right there. Where my son's in Hawaii, he said, "Come out here and live." But he's saying it's like you can live for free with me, but you need $1,500 because it's 4 times the cost, $1,100 for food.
Well, the thing we can't figure out though, and that a lot of people have been speculating, and I have been. As soon as I cross out of the Lackawanna County line into Luzerne County, the gas is cheaper.
Yeah, it must be that, like I said, it has to have something to do with coming off the turnpikes. I know they don't, like some tankers can't even go through the Lehigh Tunnel. They don't want that in tunnels because it can be explosions. So it's all based on. I don't really think it's not. I know it's not geology. I looked into it and I found out. They said that's why certain places. It's like that. Maybe you have to remember the banana truck we were talking about. You could never go down maybe that way with a tanker or something. So they have to go a longer way around, or maybe a different term. It's all factored in. It makes sense because, like, that's why sometimes in Hawaii, fuel spiked to $8 a gallon. Obviously, it's leaving the Texas harbor, right? It's 4,000 miles by a tanker, by ship. And we all saw what happened with the liability in Alaska with the Prince William Sound. Everything has to be factored in. But that's one of the equations.
All right.
Because of the distance and to bring it in. Maybe you think, oh, this is easy to get to a certain place, but there might be like a steel bridge, and that tanker can't go over that bridge. Well, you know what I mean, or to get there. So maybe
I haven't found the barriers. I haven't found the barriers between Luzerne and Lackawanna County yet.
Yeah, but there's got to be something in it. Taxes, zoning rules. Everything's factored in.
We just don't know. Thank you, Donald.
Well, no, I just told you the liability. Just like the Woodlands would.
There's got to be a reason.
Every borough has different rules and zoning rules. Everything's different. It is what it is. If you want to build something somewhere, you need a certain permit. You know that, or they won't do it because of wildlife or whatever. But that's one of the reasons.
All right, my man. Well, thank you, Donald, always.
Thank you.
Hey, let's go to Max from Dixon City to wrap up before Bloomberg. How are you, Max?
Not good again because, boy, I don't know where to start. I mean, the media, they won't talk about the Yellow Cook murder. The fact that I did research on Brown, and here are the facts about Brown. So hold on, I'm going to read them off my phone.
Go ahead.
The stats about Brown students: 78% identify as liberal, 13% independent, 6% GOP. The faculty: 99% identify Democrat, 1% GOP. The establishment is one of the higher surveilled college campuses in the United States. They were complaining that it was like China. Now, listen to me.
Except for where the murder happened.
Right. All of a sudden, right, they get grainy footage from a doorbell camera to identify this guy. Okay, so they have more surveillance than any college, but they're not releasing it. The president's DEI, the mayor's DEI, the police department, I don't know what they're doing. There's video footage of the police coming in, and it just seems procedurally all messed up. I'm not going to get on the police department. That's not the problem. The problem is this liberal DEI episode that's covering up this guy from school. They erased his dossier online. He was in Palestinian studies. The guy, 5'8", about 250, fits the profile perfectly. They yelled a chant after opening fire. And here's another fact. Ella Cook, according to her parents, and basically the law enforcement said she was targeted to their parents, and she was hit between 5 and 9 times. 5 and 9 times, and it was the first target. So what are the odds that a random shooter is going to just target one person and hit them 9 times with a 9mm after firing 40?
There's the other part of it, Max. One of the eyewitnesses said we were eye to eye with each other, and he didn't even shoot at me. So there's a lot of evidence of targeting. And I can understand caution in releasing information, but I'm seeing more incompetence than caution.
There's a lot of incompetence, but again, I asked this question, like the 2024, was it incompetence or just deliberate? So, that's where we're at. So keep on it. A great show would, be excellent to talk about that because nobody's talking about it.
Well, we're not stepping aside from that issue. It's important.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Max. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, this, by the way, I would be happy to have my suspicions allayed. I would be happy that it not be a targeted killing of this sweet young woman. But when you put pieces together, it starts to look dangerously suspicious. My Picardo's watch says 11:50. I love this. We're finishing the show throughout Hanukkah with this funny song. And it used to get me in the Christmas spirit. By the way, no, the Jay Young we interviewed was not the same Young. I even forget his first name. That was a Kamala spokesperson that we had on a number of times last fall. No relationship whatsoever. And I found it. The book is called The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. Jay Young, King Operating Corporation. They're on Facebook under King Operating and all of that stuff. Okay? So you can find them. Somebody says inspection, oil change, 4 tires, 4 brakes, $2,000. Wow. Another, Bob, I just drove up from Charleston, and the first gasoline I saw was over $3 as soon as I got into Pennsylvania. The highest taxes, second highest gas tax in the country. I paid $2.34 in Charleston. Yep. Somebody else texting in, Bob, LTS, that banner in Scranton should be taken down. I'm not sorry to say, if you never served, you cannot be counted among the soldiers, Marine, airmen, or sailors who went abroad and gave all. Scranton, you are making fools of yourself. Take Biden's name off everything. He was a shameful man. All of his career amounted to nothing for America and all for his own gain, and I will add, his family. He was a false leader. Give it up, Scranton. We've got to get that banner down. If you can't honor soldiers and sailors and Marines, what's the point? Get it down. Well, great to be with you guys as always. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow. Bulldog won't be here. I don't know what is going to unfold. We'll see. Final mention. Our veterans, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Stephen Simonich, Oliphant. Norman Williams, Mahanoy City and Hazleton. Anthony Salerno, Exeter. Anthony Petrucci, Exeter. Anthony Boccalini, Taylor, via Frederick, Maryland. And Ralph Evans, Mifflinville. So honored to talk about these great men. Guys, have a great afternoon. Sue Henry Show next. Rob O'Donnell after that. But my Picardo Jewelers watch says it's noon, and that means I got to go and gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense.